Well, it is almost Thanksgiving. Mariah Carey is thawing out, and Cousin Eddie is coasting his way through Gurney. It's that time of year again. We're going to talk about one of my favorite genres of film and one of the best Bigfoot movies. If Boggy Creek didn't exist, I would say it was the best, but it's back and forth. It competes. It's like playoffs because just nostalgia. But found footage movies. I was born in the 80s. I was trying to find my copy of Cloverfield to show up to prove that I had copied it because the rest of the stuff I have on digital. And yeah, we're going to talk about Exist. Mr. Eduardo Sanchez here. He's got several film accolades of classics, including, hang on, where did that go? We got, of course, co-writer and director of Blair Witch, VHS 2, which was, wow, that whole series. I don't know how twisted you had to be to come up with some of that stuff, but yes, Rod Serling's rolling over in his grave. and of course, probably the best found footage Bigfoot. Well, the only found footage Bigfoot movie to exist. Well, there's another, but it's a good one. It's everyone's favorite. I really loved it. 2014 classic. How's it going, Ed? Thanks for being on tonight. For real, it's been a pleasure. I've talked to some documentarians and other filmmakers, and you guys are all class acts. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I like that. That intro is nice.
Yeah, nice and loud. I turned my radio down. So I know you're the guest tonight, but I have a story that is really gonna. You may ask me to pay you money after it, and you may get off of here and like take all the microphones off, like a talk show host guest that got insulted. So what? Blair Witch came out what 98, 99?
99, yeah.
99. Okay, so I'm from a little town in Scottsboro, Alabama, and one of my best friend's dad was the manager of the local movie theater. 2 screens. The night Blair Witch opened. See, I didn't know much about film back then. I just knew what I liked. I liked Jim Carrey, Mask. Didn't know I liked found footage then. So me and my friend Tasha went to the movies, and my friend Blake got us in for free. And so we're watching Blair Witch and snuck in, didn't pay for it. And see, when I left that movie, I'm like, that is the worst. I complained and tried to get my money back, even though I didn't pay. I did not understand it. 5 years later, I watched it again. I'm like, what was wrong with me? That movie is so good. And you're a co-writer and co-director though.
Yeah.
On it.
Yeah.
That movie's a classic.
Yeah, man. I mean, that movie came out and I think a lot of people felt like you felt, because, it was like, how do you, again, you're saying, oh, it's a horror movie. It's scary. You're expecting Halloween or, Nightmare on Elm Street, and all of a sudden you're like watching home video, and of these, young college people doing, stuff in the woods and being lost, and you really don't see anything. So, yeah, you definitely have to come, wanting to like the movie and kind of wait, liking to, basically trying to, get into it to really for it to work. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people hated it, and as many people as they loved it, hated it. So.
Well, I became a broadcast / film major in college, and it really it changed because I always like I said, I always liked movies. I didn't really particularly understand what found footage was at the time. I was pretty much just chasing girls, didn't like a movie. What is that? I don't have time. But when we dissected all these scripts, watched and overanalyzed it, and I love that genre now. It's one of the best. Yeah,
there's some good stuff in it, man, for sure.
Then I think my favorite's Cloverfield, just because the RP, not RPG, but the viral role play.
Yeah.
Beforehand, remember that you go and find the whales and.
Yeah, I mean, I heard about it, I read about it, but yeah, they did a good job. They tried to, they definitely kind of took a lot of the stuff that we did on Blair Witch and kind of updated it. So yeah, I mean, anything that you can do like that to get engage the audience and not just straight commercials and newspaper ads, I think it works better than just the common stuff.
Was that the first one? Was Blair Witch the first found footage movie? That was the
I
first
mean,
one I ever saw.
yeah, I mean, like found footage wasn't a thing before Blair Witch. Like it
Mhm.
was, there had been a few movies that had like, like basically we called it like POV cinema,
Mhm.
or like, it's like it's basically like a documentary, it was a fake documentary, pseudo documentary. But ours, like, I guess because of our title, because of the title card where it says, their footage was found, I think people
Mhm.
said, hey, this is a found footage movie. But yeah, I think, I mean, we're definitely the first ones that kind of popularized that name
Mhm.
for sure.
I know that anybody that works at cameras at all knows the most unrealistic part of Blair Witch is that camera lasted that long with that much
Yeah, I mean, that
that
was,
much battery.
that was a thing. I mean, if you listen, if you watch it carefully at the beginning, Heather says, we have enough battery to, power a third world country or whatever. We kind of, and then we put that in, the edit on purpose
Mhm.
just to show, hey, maybe they brought a bunch of batteries. But yeah, and also just, especially the 16 millimeter camera would have run out of batteries
Oh, very quick.
immediately. I mean, it kept running out when we were shooting. So especially the light on that camera kept running out. So yeah, you got to kind of suspend your disbelief a little bit.
Yeah, that's that's kind of what I said. Basically any found footage movie, you're like, how's the camera lasting that long?
Yeah.
Cloverfield, they run over New York City all night long, 8 solid hours.
Yeah, well, and also, I mean, look, the found footage thing is like, because when we were trying to come up with the Blair Witch, is like, why would they keep shooting? Why don't they just
Mhm.
drop the cameras and run in one direct or whatever? And we kind of came up with the idea of, that they were using it for, just to kind of protect themselves psychologically or whatever, like,
Mhm.
just, and there's even a scene where, Josh says, I see why you're taping, you kind of like it kind of separates you from reality. And yeah, in
Mhm.
Cloverfield, I mean, like, halfway through the movie, I'd be like, dude, I would have thrown that camera at the creature and
Yeah, get the hell out.
run the hell out. But, then you don't have a movie. So you kind of have
Mhm.
to, you have to put up with that kind of, ridiculousness in really all found footage movies. So, but,
And it was
it's,
T.J. Miller.
yeah.
It's the best part. And that girl popped like Violet Beauregard on Willy Wonka
Yeah.
halfway through. So in VHS 2, I'm not going to bring up VHS 1 because I know you didn't do that one, but
Yeah.
other than the lady whose face separated and said, I like you, but good God.
Yeah.
And of course alien fetuses, but who can ignore that? Family
Right.
favorite.
Of course.
But what did you establish zombie rules in your part? I can't remember the name of
It was
your
called
segment.
A Ride in the Park.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was an idea that Jamie Nash, the writer, had, and they invited us to do, because VHS one was, kind of a big deal. It was like the first anthology movie that kind
Out
of
of
had
nowhere
succeeded.
too.
Yeah, out of nowhere, had succeeded in a long time. And so they asked us to, hey, you want to be part of the second one? We were like, wow, that's kind of cool. And we also didn't want to be like, just we didn't want to make the worst film, in the anthology. So Jamie came up with this idea, and we were just like, this is just like the perfect little, idea. And I mean, it's not like we invented anything for the zombies, but
No.
just kind of followed the basic rules of zombieism. Like we kept kind of the George Romero slow kind of walking. We didn't do the the World War Z, like running,
Yeah.
or 28 days later, right? Where
Of course, if you read the World War Z book, they were slow as Christmas.
Yeah, no, I mean the book, I mean, I like the movie, but the book was pretty
In the movie,
freaking
they're
awesome.
Hussein Bolt.
Yeah. But I think 28 Days Later was the one that did the fast zombies, I think.
Oh yeah.
But but it was just a fun thing. The zombies were kind of like the backdrop for this little story. We just felt like, I thought it was just a genius idea that, track a person from like being normal, having a conversation with their girlfriend, and then, getting attacked and slowly turning into a zombie, dying and then coming back to life. I thought that was very clever. And Greg and I, the other co-director, we shot it here in Maryland. It was a lot of fun, and it was a 2 or 3 days shoot, and it was, came out really nice. I edited it, and it was nice, and it was a nice part of that, film of all, all the shorts. They did we all did a good job, I think, just kind of putting the movie in together. I think all the shorts are great. So
was that the only one you did was the Ride in the Park, wasn't it?
That's the only one I've done for the VHS series. Yeah.
I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell if it was just that one. The credits were kind of weird. I was looking through, refreshing my memory.
Yeah, because the credits come after the movie, so all of the movies. So you're kind of they're kind of confusing. Yeah.
I had to go back through some YouTube recaps. What I was asking about the zombie rules is, at the end, the guy gets self-aware again and opens his own lid. And I'm thinking, wait a minute.
Yeah,
it's not like Nicoteros.
Yeah, I thought I think that I guess that was the only twist on it. I mean, there have been some things where like the zombies sort of kind of recognize, start recognizing people or whatever, or kind of, there's somehow you connect to the human part of it that's still there. I just felt it was a nice little, bookends for the girlfriend to come back and kind of spring him back to life and make him realize, what he was. So
the funniest part of that is that husband and wife that are trying to rescue him, and he gets bit and the wife's dead over here, and all of a sudden she's trying to find it. The wife just attacks the dude.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, we had a lot of fun. We used all local talent from here in Maryland, where I live, and I rarely get to shoot stuff in Maryland, and actually like sleep in my own bed while I work. So because I work all over the place, and so it was kind of it's nice to be able to like go home and sleep in your own bed when you're shooting a film. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, man. I mean, it was like, we were nervous because, again, like I said, we didn't want to, we definitely want to make a cool film, and we didn't want ours to be the worst one. But, it came out good, and we loved working with all the other filmmakers and the producers. And it was a really good experience as far as like, our first anthology, being part of the first anthology film. So.
And that show does it. Those two do it really well by having like the backstory of the VCR.
Yeah.
Like the first one was the creepy dead guy in the recliner, and the second one was, what's his name, Derek or Josh, in the hallway, kept peeking out.
Yeah, they did good. I mean, it's like, and it's the series, like how many VHS movies are there now? Like 5 or 6. Yeah, they're still doing it. So there's, kudos to them,
Me and my friend were trying to start like a kind of a off the wall, not movie review show, but the crazy stuff you find on Netflix, like VHS and and there's a movie called Stalled. I don't know if you ever heard of that, and if you haven't, just keep scrolling because it's terrible. But it's about a guy that gets stuck in a bathroom stall at a Christmas party for work during a zombie apocalypse.
Nice.
It's terrible.
Is it found footage, or?
I think it may be a little bit.
Yeah.
Because
is there like a little video element to it?
Because I don't know if you ever see his face, but he's like in this stall the whole time and looking up, seeing the zombies. And there's some girl comes in and he starts telling her how she sounds beautiful. It turns out she weighs like 300 pounds. And
is it like a feature film, or is it a short film?
It's 80, 90 minutes.
Wow.
It's called Stall.
And he's in the stall the whole time?
Mm-hmm.
I gotta check. I'm just gonna have to check it out just to see how the hell they pulled that off. But
if you have gummies, take them first.
All right, I got gummies, yeah, for sure.
We got Roswell Daily Record here to pitch Mr. Sanchez, the IT of Cocaine Bigfoot. Roswell, Cocaine Bigfoot. I don't know.
Cocaine Bigfoot would be great, man. I like.
She does. Who wasn't like Star Wars?
I know. Yeah, man, Cocaine Bigfoot would be cool.
I was telling you about my co-host who is also named Ed. He goes by Wild Trees. He's a biologist, and he really wants to find a Bigfoot in some kind of a scientific way by giving it like some good food, and the Bigfoot gives it some hair, and eventually working her way up to the Bigfoot gives a dead body, one that died naturally, and yada yada yada. Well, at one point he's talking to somebody. Said, "What if you got Bigfoot hooked on crack and he's always coming back?"
Yeah.
And the guy said, then you'd have Bigfoot like stealing people's bicycles and showing up with PlayStation 4 games.
Yeah, going to the pawn shop to get some cash.
It went from being scientific to just everybody seeing how much crackhead jokes they can make. But God, I was dying. It wasn't even scientific anymore. What Lionel said, he loved about exist. It felt like inspired by true story.
Yeah.
Any specific Bigfoot story inspired exists?
No, not really. I mean, I think I guess, the end of Boggy Creek, when they're in that house and because when I watched, I mean, my love of Bigfoot, started when I was little, and Boggy Creek was part of it. And also, the Patterson Gimlin film, like that was, I mean, that really kind of was the first found footage, kind of movie.
Very shaky.
Yeah, very shaky. And also, it's like, it's supposed to be true. Like, they didn't say, oh, it was, that we actually, I mean, you can argue whether it's real or not, whatever, but they presented it as real. So it's kind of, it is, it's real footage, but yeah, Boggy Creek, like that last scene in Boggy Creek really, scared the crap out of me. And I just, the idea of like something being outside and, just being dark and you being completely isolated, and, it's still a pretty creepy, final act of that movie,
The movie holds
so
up.
I think that was the kind of the main, motivation. That's one of the things that inspired me. But it was just, I mean, I'm such a fan of Bigfoot, from $6 Million Man to, the In Search Of episodes to any kind of Bigfoot documentary. When I was a kid, I would watch, and it would just scare the crap out of me. So I think, and Dan and I both, when we were doing Blair Witch, we loved that, we loved that style, and that's what inspired Blair Witch. So when it was, and so, Bigfoot kind of just plugged in perfectly to the found footage kind of,
it really did,
genre, yeah. I mean, because basically, I mean, everything we've seen of Bigfoot is basically just shot by people, by, it's not found footage, but it's like, it's documentary footage. So, it just lends itself really well to that shaky kind of just, and kind of out of focus, or just kind of in the, too far to see the details, because, we wanted to keep the creature, kind of hidden for, until the very end,
Man, a Blair Witch Exist crossover would be bomb, like a prequel.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've written like 2 Bigfoot scripts that are unproduced, and I mean, and I've never, none of the, I mean, because for me, like, Bigfoot is not really supernatural, you know what I mean? Like, to me, it's like it's just a creature, it's just a missing link or whatever it is. But I mean, I do like the idea of, kind of like, imagine if a Bigfoot ended up in, the haunted area around Blair, and, just kind of whatever, I mean, just got taken over by the spirit of the Blair Witch or whatever. That would be cool. But yeah, that'd be a cool crossover.
Hey, you talk to some of the people I have, it happens all the time. The witch and the UFO and the Bigfoot all mingle in the same little murky areas.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, I mean, there is this, like, and that's something that I discovered when I started, like, kind of doing the conventions, like, I've gone to the conventions and just doing a little more research online and stuff, is that there is this, the theory that Bigfoot is like some kind of, interdimensional creature or whatever. And that's why we can't find him. I mean, who the hell knows? But for me, I just love the idea that this thing is just, is a missing link that somehow survived, and, one of our ancestors, and still, is out there,
So how old were you when you started liking Bigfoot?
I was little, man. I mean, I was born in '68, so I was like, I got here to the United States from Cuba. I went to from Cuba to Spain. I got here to the United States when I was like 4 or 5. And Bigfoot, like the Patterson Gimlin film and In Search Of, and all that
had just happened.
Yeah, one of the first. Yeah, exactly. It was one of the first memories I ever had of just watching television. They had such an impact on me, and also watching The Exorcist and some movies that my dad took me to that I shouldn't have watched. But
yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, very early, dude. I mean, I remember like just being like, I'm like, honestly, like, I would watch like Bigfoot documentaries, and I was just so fascinated with it, but also they just scared me so much that I literally like, for a month or 2 afterwards, I would like, have trouble like washing my face in the shower, because we had some in our apartment complex. We had some woods behind the apartment complex. And I was sure that like I was gonna like, you know, be washing my face and like, you know, getting the soap out of my eyes and open my eyes, and there was a Bigfoot at the window, you know, the bathroom, the window of the of my bedroom. Like I was sure that I was gonna get visited by Bigfoot, you know what I mean? And then, you know, those woods behind my house, even though it was just a kind of a strip of land of wood with a creek, and then there was apartments on either side. That was to me like, you know, I never liked to go there. Like as soon as it got dark, started getting dark, I was out of there. You know, I didn't want to mess with that at all. So I very early, man. I mean, it's one of my earliest, you know, kind of child. I mean, it's my monster. You know, I grew up with Bigfoot. You know, so
that's one thing I was going to ask you. If you were a believer, you just like the genre. I guess that answers the question then.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely a believer when I was a kid, and now, I mean, look, I you know, like I don't.
Enthusiast, not believer. You don't have to say believer.
Yeah, like you know, I think that you know, it's hard to like believe that we haven't found any evidence of it. But again, it's like this thing of like, you know, you talk to all these eyewitnesses and all these people that are very credible. You know, like when I was doing the film, the stunt coordinator on Exists, which, you know, Jeff Schwan, he's actually plays the uncle at the end who gets who saves the kid at the end. And
oh, really?
It's Jeff Schwan, and great guy, and you know, just a great stunt coordinator in Texas. And he had already gotten the job. We were already shooting, and he's like one of the like little get-togethers on at night, like on Friday night or something. He, you know, we're drinking beers and stuff. He's like, "Hey, I've ever told you my Bigfoot story?" And he told me his Bigfoot story. This was before he even got the job, and for me, it was like, okay, if I would have been suspicious if it was before he had gotten the job, because I would have been like, oh, this guy's telling me this, you know, bull crap story because, you know, he thinks I'm going to hire him because of this. But he was just a genuine dude, and I just why would he lie to me? Why would he make up this story? And just so there's so many, you know, eyewitness stories that kind of you know, like you know, to me, I just wonder like, well, what the hell are these people seeing? And I've never seen, you know, a Bigfoot, but I would imagine like, if I saw something like that, you know, it's kind of like, well, how do I explain that this thing exists and we haven't, you know, found it? We haven't found any evidence of it yet. You know what I'm saying? So there is this part of me that like, you know, rational part that doesn't, I'm like, there's no way that, you know, we would have, you know, we would have found it, especially in the United States, you know. But then there's this part of me that's like, well, you know, something's being seen out there, you know. I mean, so, you know, again, it's that's what I love about it. You know, I love the fact that, you know, I'm still on the fence.
Yeah, it'll pull you back and forth, like when Jodie Foster was in that pod on Contact and she's talking to herself back and forth. That's what it feels like when you're thinking about it. I've been talking to a bunch of witnesses for about the past year or so, and they kind of got like a catchphrase that I'm talking like upwards of 30% say. They all say like, "What do you do with that?" When they talk about seeing something like that's not a bear, it's not a dog.
Yeah.
Like, they say, "What do you do with that?"
Yeah. Well, and you know, and then you know, like this, like Jeff, you know, he saw this thing. First of all, in the middle of nowhere, it was snowing. He said, like, this is in the middle of, like, you know, if somebody had like put a suit on and like been trying to fool people, somebody was like, what the hell are they doing in the, you know, middle of nowhere storm? And they saw, you know, he saw this thing walk across the road, and he even stopped and looked at it. And, you know, and this guy, you know, I'm sure, I mean, he, you know, he's from Texas. I'm sure he's a hunter. He's hunted. I mean, you know what a bear looks like, you know, what, you know, deer look like, you know, whatever. You know, and it was cool because when Brian Steele, the guy who plays the Bigfoot in my movie, finally got there, and, you know, he put on the suit, and we were the first day of shooting with Brian. Jeff came to me. He's like, "Oh man, dude, that's exactly what I saw." Man, I was like, "Yes." So we got that right, you know. You know, so again, like, you know, like what you were saying, what do you do with that? Like, you know,
what do you do with it?
And I know, you know, obviously there's some people who are lying and just, you know, trying to make crap up, but then, you know, not everybody's lying, you know. So what are they seeing, you know?
Ain't that many black bears out there, especially with flat feet that make toes.
Yeah.
That's one of the things. And then you got, this is a funny comment, by the way. I couldn't said, forget Godzilla versus Kong. We need Ellie Kedward versus Bigfoot.
Yeah, man, that would be
Street Fighter style.
That would be the ultimate fight there, you know.
Oh yeah, Willow Creek. That was a good one.
Yeah, no, Willow Creek was cool. It was kind of like a Blair Witch a Bigfoot version of Blair Witch, and I like Willow Creek, and I mean, look, there's a lot of cool Bigfoot movies out there, but for me, like, I always felt that like the creature was always lacking in a lot of Bigfoot movies. Like, they either went nuts and like just made it like this, homicidal maniac monster, and then also just the look of it, like, it's expensive to put one of those suits together. We spent a lot of money and hired like the best people to Brian Steele to play the Bigfoot, and Mike Elizalde and the guys at Spectral Motion to build the suit, and it costs a lot of money. So I understand like why low budget Bigfoot movies can't afford a suit like that. But for me, it was like, as a kid, when I was growing up, like when I watched even like the $6 Million Man, like that was a good Bigfoot suit, but I was like, yeah, you can kind of you can tell it was Andre the Giant, right? It wasn't Andre the Giant the Bigfoot? You can tell it's a dude, and for me it was like, I think that my goal in like life and as a filmmaker, was one of my goals was like, I'm gonna do something where the creature looks realistic and it looks like some kind of hybrid man animal, and and I think that's that's kind of what we set out to do with Exist, and we were really proud of what we accomplished on that.
That face though, at the end,
yeah,
you really stuck it on the part about the man. I got that picture too. Where'd it go? On the part about everybody says they look like human. They look like my uncle. And then there's the Exist Bigfoot. It looks just like somebody that lives down the street.
Yeah. It looks like somebody that has been hiding out in their trailer for too long.
Yes.
Cooking meth and doing stuff. Yeah, man. I mean, that was one of those things where I was like, I just loved the ability to go in that tight and still look cool, and I felt like again, Brian just brought so much to the role of the creature, and I was so happy with the way it looked,
And what you just said a minute ago, how much money it cost and the effort it cost to make the suit and the people and the coach to make it work.
Yeah.
Like, imagine 1967 trying to do the same thing.
Well, and that's the whole thing of like, again, like, and I've, and I know that there's like people on both sides of, Patterson Gimlin, where you're like, is it real? Is it not? And again, like, even for me, I'm like, I mean, it can't, it can't be Bigfoot, right? It can't be, like, how lucky could they have gotten or whatever. But, but again, man, you look at that footage and like you were saying, dude, like 1967 or whenever they shot that, it was like, that's a pretty good looking suit. You know what I mean? And also like, I mean, I know like most people like me was, on TV and stuff, you would only see the first, they would only show you like 30 seconds of it or whatever, but that footage continues, you know what I mean? And just like, it still looks good. Like like they kind of follow the creature for a little bit, if you've seen the whole, unedited film. And it just looks good, man. I mean, like people, I've had people, Lyle Blackburn, who does a lot of
Black cowboy
Bigfoot.
hat.
Yeah, fucking awesome guy, man. I love that guy. He did like a talk on the Patterson Gimlin film and just kind of like blew my mind a little bit about like how you can see kind of like the muscles underneath the suit,
in the thigh.
moving in the thigh, and then also the idea that it has breasts. It's like, because it's funny because the breast thing, because we toyed a lot with like, should we put, is the Bigfoot in Exist a man or a woman? You know what I mean? We were like, well, the only thing it's not like we're going to have, his schlong,
change his name to Big something else.
Yeah, we're not making a comedy, you know what I mean? And then we're like, all right, so if we add breast, and to us, it was like, it would just, we just don't want to be distracting, you know what I mean? Like it's, so for me, like the idea of these, these guys, hey, let's make a Bigfoot suit and make a fake movie. Hey, why don't we put breasts on it? Yeah, that's a good idea.
Big swinging ones too.
Yeah, like I mean, again, it's the exact thing that we were talking about before, where it was like, it can't be Bigfoot, right? It can't be. But then what the hell is it? Like, what do you do with that? Like, what is it if it's not Bigfoot? It's a guy in a suit. Okay, well, look at look at suit technology of that time, and then also look at the film. Like, look at the version where that stabilized, the image stabilization that they did on it, and the detail of the muscle, and it's just again, it's one of those things that like why Bigfoot continues to like amaze people, and like it's still like this topic that like you guys, people still want to talk about it and still want to like look into it, and so people are fascinated by this thing because of the idea that you don't know what the hell it is. Yeah, man, there's all these like, again, and it just looks really good, man. It just looks really, really good, and like, I mean, I don't know much about it, but it's like, wouldn't like the people that made the suit come out and say, hey, we're the ones that made the suit and now hire us to make, movies or whatever.
They could be at Hollywood if they can make one.
Yeah, like you can make a pretty good living with that. So, there's just a lot of stuff that's kind of, again, like I was saying, it's like, it really can't be Bigfoot, right? Like we, couldn't be that lucky. But then you're like, well, if it's not Bigfoot, then, explain to me what it is. So,
yeah. Well, this picture I'm showing you here on the left is Patricia. You met her before.
Yeah.
Patterson Gimlin. And on the right, that's from Minnesota on a trail cam, an infrared cam at night. Look at that back ridge.
Yeah.
That's the same critter.
Yeah.
That's on my friend Randy. He lives up there. He's been on the show. He's got some cool stuff.
No, that's cool, man.
If that's a costume, geez.
Yeah, it's a good costume, that's for sure.
Have you heard the backstory, the CD underground backstory of Patterson Gimlin?
I don't think so.
There is this, you said to see the whole movie. Apparently there's a front part of the movie too.
Oh, really?
Where they massacre Bigfoot. And they're sent up there by the local timber agency to clear them out of that area so they can log it. And there's like 6 or 7 Bigfoot bodies, and that's what Patty's thigh muscle is a bullet wound. It goes pretty deep. Like
I've never heard that. That's freaking that's cool.
I was sitting around a campfire with some experts a few weeks ago on an actual Bigfoot expedition, and started hearing stuff like that. Apparently it goes. I've heard it like once or twice before. I've never heard it from anybody who was legit.
But there's footage of it, or photographs, or
like the original spool. Supposedly shows 6 or 7 bodies buried, and Patty's walking away from them to get away, and that's why you see that. Yeah, that's what it was.
That's very interesting.
Hematoma, MK Davis, yeah.
Yeah, man, you can't get anything wrong, man. There's people, they'll correct you.
He says, put out French. Yeah, Mr. Duffy here has Bigfoot on his property. Good.
Really? They have any photos, any evidence?
I think he does. I haven't really spoke to him about it. He always just tells me I'm wrong and gets in the chat and trolls me.
I mean, and I've been let's see what he said. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, thanks. I mean, that we were looking for the realistic, effects, and also just like, we wanted to make it creepy, but also we knew that, it was a monster movie. So we wanted to kind of have those, we wanted to pay it off, and again, like what I said earlier about like that Bigfoot movies, a lot of Bigfoot movies have great setup, but then at the end they don't give you what that you want. It's kind of like Jaws, like if you wanted, whatever, you wanted to see that shark at the end, you wanted to see that shark in action, and I think that that's kind of what we wanted to do for Exist. We wanted to make sure that, like, you kind of kept it hidden at the beginning and slowly reveal it, but then at the end, you want to see that creature in action. And again, it was just a great performance by Brian Steele, and also just the the handheld kind of found footagey kind of way to shoot it really helped hide the fact, because look, you're fighting constantly on the fact that it's a guy in a suit. No matter how talented Brian is, he's still a human being, and he's still in a suit. You know what I'm saying? It's a fake suit. So there's you're always struggling with that. But I think that, that's kind of one of the proudest things that I feel about Exist, is that, the creature looks great, the attacks look great, and it feels like it's, as realistic as it can get, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what we were looking for.
That bicycle attack, that was crazy. Through the woods and his legs started poking out.
Yeah, that's cool. Woo! Yeah, that was good. That was actually the first thing we shot with Brian, and it's crazy because Brian, is like this kind of like you got to be kind of an athlete to be in these suits. So he trains, before he does a role like that, and he was sweating so much. I mean, we were shooting it in Texas. I mean, not in the middle of the summer, but it was hot, and he was, like he would squeeze his hands, and the hands were kind of foamy, you know what I mean? And there'd just be freaking just water just pouring out of his hands from, inside the suit. And the suit at the end of the day was like pretty nasty. I mean, they had to dry it out. They actually would soak it in alcohol. And so anyway, I mean, it's a whole process, but he was just such a champ, man. Like I'd be like, hey, Brian, can you do another run? And he's yeah, I can do it. Like he was just like, he never complained about anything. And most people, like all the people that I've worked with in suits, are just really amazing actors and performers, and they just love what they do, and they put all their energy into it. But yeah, man, I mean, that bike scene was one of the first things where I was like, okay, is this thing gonna work or not? I mean, is this freaking guy in a suit gonna work? And when we looked at the footage, we're like, yeah, I think this is gonna work.
He wasn't exactly doing a slow walk in that thing either. It was heel toe the whole time.
Yeah, no, dude, and he's running through the woods. Like we cleared, an area for him to run, but he's running in this, in this suit that, I mean, imagine, in a pretty heavy suit. And anyway, it's just, Brian was just amazing. You know what I mean?
It was when they were inside that, they go outside and storms. No, it was in the house. It was under the stairs. That's right.
Yeah.
And that thing tore the house apart. It started coming down through there.
Yeah. That was we built this. We've actually built that cabin for the movie, and again, like back to just the classic kind of, again, the end of Legend of Boggy Creek, the idea of like being being stuck in this house and there's this thing outside. It's just creepy, you know what I mean? Oh, cool. The smoke, the fireworks smoke. Yeah, that was cool. That was, it's kind of one of those things where you're like, you just get lucky and, the smoke is in the right place. And, yeah, that was cool. I and also, Roger's, performance, and Roger Darnell, I think I can't remember the people's last. It was over 10 years ago, but,
it's hard to believe it was.
I know, but, he was just funny the way, what he was saying. Oh my God, shit, I just love the way he kind of was running away from the creature and stuff. And again, it's one of those iconic images that just happened to work. Brian just came out of the fire of the smoke the right way, and the camera captured it, and again, it's like these moments in when you're making movies of just like serendipity, like little lucky moments where you capture something and little bits of magic. So it's cool.
You see it by accident. No, keep it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of stuff, that's happens, whether it's a performance or whether it's something that goes wrong, and then you're like, wow, that actually looks a lot better than I thought it was going to look. It's the magic of filmmaking, you know what I mean? And it's still kind of exciting to this day, just because you don't know what you're going to get. You can have the idea in your head, and you can lay it out, and you hire people, and you try to make it as close to what you have in your head, but you never you never achieve what you have in your head. But sometimes you achieve better, something that something completely unexpected. And that's really where the magic comes in, where you're like, man, I never thought it was going to look that good, and there's a lot of bits in Exists where I'm like, damn, that creature looks freaking good, very, very convincing.
When it's like dark and you're looking out and you see it,
it's like
a glimpse of it, and whoo.
Yeah.
And it's doing and it's kind of doing the classic walk at the same time.
Yeah. No, it's and I was funny because before we like, as we were prepping the movie, Brian would send me videos of him in his backyard doing the Bigfoot walk and stuff. And it was just, I mean, again, like he's a professional, and again, we're grown men, like, be getting paid to, to make Bigfoot, bring Bigfoot to life, and he's getting paid to like walk around like Bigfoot, like only in Hollywood, so it was cool. I mean, again, it's like we're so lucky, and Exist was like one of these movies where, I was like, I mean, making movies is stressful, and you're always like, there's a lot of tension. You're trying to, especially low budget, and even high budget, you're always like, spending a lot of money and whatever. There's always tension, but like, I was just like pinching myself every couple of hours, like, man, we're making a Bigfoot movie, man. That's cool. I've been wanting to do that since I was a little kid. So it definitely was like this lifelong, passion project that I wanted. And I've told people, like, I haven't, I'd like to make Exist like a trilogy. So, and again, like I have 2 Bigfoot scripts that are unproduced that are, pretty much ready to go. So I mean, I would love to be able to go back and one day and kind of make another Bigfoot movie, or like a like a TV show. Bigfoot TV show would be cool too.
Would you do the same costume or kind of beef it up a little?
No, I mean, that costume is like kind of just.
Yeah, I was going to say disintegrated.
It's disintegrated. I mean, it was falling up. I mean, it was, they were like taping it together, the guys, because it just falls apart. I mean, it's, it's not really made for have that much punishment on it. But no, I mean, I would do kind of like, I mean, I think that you kind of vary the costumes and, have a little bit of individuality to each of the creatures. Like have one script that it's like a whole, bunch of, Bigfoot. It's a whole kind of village of Bigfoot. It's a period piece. Takes place a couple of 100 years ago. And
like Prey.
Yeah, and so I'm like, well, there's this little, kind of community of Sasquatch that live out there. So it would be like, a bunch of guys in suits and with different, color, fur, and just kind of definitely different faces and stuff. Just kind of individualize them a little bit. But yeah, it would be cool to go back into that world, man.
Yeah, especially with and do kind of make some scenes with the Native Americans talking to Hairy Man.
Yeah,
showing doing a cave painting.
Yeah, no, I mean in the period movie, there is actually a Native American that's there with he's a guide for the army, and he's like, dude, these are not bears. This is not bears. This is, he knows exactly what it is, and he kind of tells the people, the white people, the other people that just, in the story, that just a story of like, what was passed down from his village and all the, all the, and that's another thing too, is like you have all these stories of like from Native Americans. Like I think pretty much every Native American tribe has some kind of Bigfoot, folklore. So again, it kind of, and I always felt like, okay, if Bigfoot doesn't exist now because, or they've died off, they've gone extinct because, they civilization or whatever. So, I'm like, well, what about a couple hundred years ago? I'm saying, when there was just native people here and the Europeans had just started to come, to especially west. Like for me, I'm like, okay, then that's a lot more believable that there's, whole, gangs of creatures, So yeah, so that's kind of my thing. It's actually, that's what, like the first Bigfoot script I wrote was this period piece. So, and again, I'd love to make it one day. It's it's definitely a little, kind of a bigger budget movie, and
that sounds amazing, by the way.
Yeah, it's cool, man. I mean, it's a really good script too. I mean, it's I'm always trying. It's kind of my thing of like, one day I'm gonna make this damn movie. But yeah, man, I would love to make 2-3 more Bigfoot movies.
Do you know what year it's set in, just off the top of your head, or is it?
Working? It's about 150 years ago. It's set like right after the Civil War.
Oh,
like
okay, wow, yeah,
1886 or something like that.
Yeah, you could really do some
Yeah, and also yeah, and it has like, I mean, the movie is, I don't want to like give away the story or whatever.
No.
But it's cool because it has, white people. It has kind of like kind of richer white people. It has poorer white people, and then it has African Americans that are kind of segregated in their own car, and it's like, and obviously they're not slaves anymore, but they're still dealing with this, with the same crap of being second class citizens. So, and the idea that all these people have to kind of come together to fight the creatures. But yeah, it's cool, man. I mean, and again, like, I always, it's the same thing with Exist. Like I have a lot of respect for Bigfoot, and especially the community. Like I understand that people take it, some people take it very seriously, and it's, it's kind of like a religion, and I'm kind of, and I'm part of that religion, so I always felt that, like, when in movies or whatever, when they made Bigfoot just this deadly machine, killing machine, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's kind of the best. It stays hidden so much that it's kind of the opposite. Like basically it sees humans and runs the other way. You know what I mean? So for me, it was like, if the creatures are going to attack humans, there has to be a good reason for it. And obviously in Exist, there's a good reason that, the humans kill the cub, and there's a motive there. You know what I'm saying? And also at the end, like, I love that the creature, shows mercy and is like, all right, I'm done. I'm out of here. I don't need to, kill this guy.
Yeah.
And same in the other film, in the period film, like, I wanted to be a reason that these creatures are going after these humans. So, it always makes a better film when you can give, some kind of motivation to, to the monster.
Would the new one be the period piece be found footage or just straight up?
No. I mean, the period piece.
Well, there couldn't be found footage in the 1800s.
It would be hard to be found footage back then.
We found flash bulbs.
Found photography. No, I mean, it would be, and that's why it would be, full on, normal film with full crew.
Stupid.
And it's an expensive, it's got a lot of effects, and it's in the winter, and it would be, I mean, I would love to be able to do that, but we'll see what happens, man.
What about an alternate history of the Donner Party, Tarantino style, with Bigfoot?
Yeah, I mean, the Donner Party to me has been something that just has fascinated me since I was a little kid, and it would be cool to add a little Bigfoot to that story. Would be cool too. That's interesting. But hey, I love the Donner. I mean, just the idea of like eating.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Eating each other is just, it's cannibalism is always fun.
That's when the cannibalism started.
Yeah, exactly.
So whose idea was the Bigfoot den scene in the Exist?
It was, I think it was just because Jamie and I kind of, wrote the movie together. And it was, I always wanted there to be, because I've always been fascinated by all the dens that, supposed dens that have been found. Like, I really love that part of, and all the twisted trees and all the, weird stuff like that. So I always felt that, like, man, that would be freaking scary as hell to go into a Bigfoot den. You know what I mean? So I kind of, I definitely wanted, and I'm like, well, I mean, they have to, if they're hiding, then they've probably found ways to hide, whatever, in a den or in a cave or whatever. So, we built this, this den that was partly out in the woods and then partly in a sound stage.
That's gonna be my next question. How'd you get it to look like a cave, but not?
Yeah, I mean, it was basically, the beginning part was actually like this ravine, or this like kind of creek bed that had like that, where this crack in the ground had like formed, and had really high sides, and in the dark you could kind of go through, and it looked like it was kind of a cave, like the entrance to a cave. And then once we got inside, it was a set that our production designer Andrew White and his team built, and just the again, like being in a freaking Bigfoot den and then hearing it coming at you and hearing it breathing and then barely
Mhm.
being able to see it, it was just creepy to me. And I love that idea.
Mhm. Real
Um,
flies on the dead body?
oh no, I mean, it's funny because yeah, I love that little cub. It's so cute and it was so sad to finally see it. But we try to put, I mean, flies are hard to do, and real flies because
Yeah.
when you don't need them, they come around, and when you need them, they're gone. So we had to put in digital flies, and I'm not sure what company did that, but they did a good job on it. They look really good.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna say, yeah, we just left it out there for a while.
Yeah, I mean, we were thinking of doing that, but then it was like, it's like it's just very, again, like you can't really get the flies to do what you want them to do. Unfortunately, those
Mhm.
flies cannot be trained.
Either that or you'd have to have like a pile of something really dead or poop.
Yes, that's the thing. And it's like we were shooting in this burned out area, near where we were shooting, and it was just so hot. It was like it's just amazing how, like, when you take all the foliage off of trees, like how much the sun just
Mhm.
bakes the ground. So I think if we would have added some like stinky meat or some fish or something, it would have been 10 times worse for Brian in the suit and all the actors. And so it was you know it was just, we thought about it for a second, but we were like, oh, we'll just add digital flies, and luckily they
Yeah.
came out really, really
Yeah.
well.
That was did you have to pull like a Chewbacca thing where had the guy escorted around so you
You mean
didn't get
like
shot?
so people
Yeah.
wouldn't shoot him? Um, I don't know. I guess so. We were. I
I
mean,
just thought of
the
that.
no, dude. I mean, look, when we were there, because we're all like, we're thinking of like, oh, how do we get some buzz for this movie or whatever, and we were like, and there, we were like, oh, we should send, Brian out into the, and just kind of do some sightings. And people were like, man, this is Texas, man. He would get shot immediately.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
Yeah, and so yeah, we definitely were careful with Brian. We'd put a robe on him and make him. There was always somebody with. I mean, you got to have somebody there. So there's always somebody with him. But it was funny because we were there was the property we were on was a private, this place called Spiderwood Studios. I think it's still called. It's in Bastrop, Texas, and near Austin. So it was, we were pretty, there's no like people wandering onto the set, whatever. There's, it's not like people are hunters are going by or whatever. But then when we went to that other place, the place where the trees were all burned down, that was a different location. So yeah, you got to be careful with that. You don't want Brian to be walking around some areas in public for sure. But yeah, we thought about that for like 10 seconds, and then we were like, man, he would get shot immediately. It would kill
Thank
him
God
immediately.
cooler heads prevailed.
Well, what's funny too is that, like, and I think it was like when we were shooting the movie or sometime around the production of the movie, they actually passed a law in Texas where like you could shoot Bigfoot if you saw a Bigfoot. Like, it was like just a coincidence, and it was just, obviously it's just I guess it's kind of a semi-silly law, but there was something where like, yeah, if Bigfoot is, you can shoot Bigfoot if you see it or whatever. And it was, so we were definitely like, nah, let's not let Brian out of our sight.
That would have been that would have made national news. Open season for
Dude,
Bigfoot.
that would have ended our movie, but yeah, it would have gotten freaking national news for sure. And we would have, and we just, it's best not to shoot the guy in the Bigfoot suit.
What was that weird alien movie that just came out, or one crashing that guy's backyard, and they're putting that alien on the subway in New York to promote it? That was crazy. That was a good one.
I didn't. Is that the one on Hulu?
I think so. It's with old people.
Oh no,
I haven't. It crashes in this guy's azaleas.
Oh really? No, I haven't
seen.
I haven't
It's
heard
a good
about
one.
that one. Yeah,
it's about the old guy with Alzheimer's.
Oh, I got to check it out. There's that one where like no one will save you or whatever. Where about the girl who's. One. Yeah, that was a. So this is a different one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one was out of a comedy.
What's it? Oh, it's like and again, like I love, Harry and the Hendersons, and I love the beef jerky ads with Bigfoot. But for me, it was like, I just wanted to make Bigfoot creepy again, and scary, and kind of, the monster that I grew up with,
It's called Jewels.
Jewels.
That's right.
All right, I'll check it out.
It's
Jewels and Stall.
You don't have to watch Stall.
I'm just gonna watch. I'm gonna watch like 5 minutes of it, man, just to see what's going on there.
It's tough.
I mean, it's quite a challenge to like say that, hey, I'm gonna do a movie and it's gonna take place in a bathroom stall. That's pretty ballsy. I love how
Alter.
Yeah, that was the heart of the movie was like that. The creature wanted this guy them to see what they had done. You know what I mean? That they had killed his kid, and if you pay close attention, there's another grave next to the kid. Like there's a kind of a grave, like a mound where I guess his mate, if you think that he's a male, he also could be a female, but the mate of this Bigfoot was there, and now the kid's dead, and now it's kind of like that was something where I didn't want anybody, I don't want to hit anybody over the head with it, but that's kind of the story, is that now this thing is alone now. And so yeah, I wanted I wanted to definitely show, within because I don't want Bigfoot to talk about, hey, you killed my kid. I mean, he can't talk.
Lights a cigarette.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, hey.
So just non-verbally, it was cool that that people got that, which is cool. At the end of like, you killed my kid, and this is why I've been killing your friends, and and again, like you're like, okay, is he gonna kill that? He's probably gonna kill that guy too, but so yeah, that was the heart of the movie is and for me, it's like I've always felt that, again, like I've said it a couple times, like I don't like when Bigfoot is treated like this crazy monster that's out to kill everybody. Like for me, it's like there's a motive to everything. Even Jaws, like the shark just wants to eat, or whatever.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
he's a shark.
Yeah, he's a shark. That's what he does. So I love that kind of stuff. And for me, like the fact that, Bigfoot in my head is like some kind of lost, missing link to humanity. You know what I mean? Like he's a distant cousin of ours. There's definitely some human in the Bigfoot. So for me, it was like important to like show that, okay, this thing, imagine if some freaking, dumbass, teenagers, college kids came, barreling through your land and just freaking hit your kid, and like, well, how would you feel? You know what I mean? And and so I wanted to, and again, like that one scene when they're in the car and they hear the howling, like the crying, like that's the creature like probably holding that cub and just howling at just just agony. I mean, your kid is dead. So yeah, that was definitely for me like the heart of the movie, and really like what I wanted to portray, is the idea that like the creature has some human qualities to it, for sure.
My dumb ass didn't get it to the very end. I'm like, wait a minute, that was his kid. Okay, that explains the viciousness.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, and like there's like kind of a line you got to walk, like you don't want to like over explain things, but you want to make sure that people get some of the details. So there's some stuff in there that I don't expect everybody to get, but again, the last thing I wanted was have like you were saying, Bigfoot talk to, hey, so you killed my kid, now I'm going to come to you, and come after you. So hopefully most people got that this was,
or some weird telepathic.
It's a revenge movie. Yeah,
it was good. Or some weird telepathic exposition.
Yeah, some weird. I'm in your brain,
it has a flash of the baby in the.
They're having dreams of the baby. I think we hit a baby Bigfoot.
I mean, that's what Bigfoot does in real life, but yeah, that'd have been hard to do in a movie.
Yeah.
From what I've heard. we can go ahead and wrap up. It's about we've been here an hour, and it's amazingly. I just didn't realize that.
Yeah,
Have you ever talked about David Pilates? Like that, you know who I'm talking about? The Missing 411.
No.
You should look into that. He does the Missing 411 series. People go missing in the national parks.
Oh, I've never seen that.
He's got Missing 411, Missing 411 The Hunted, Missing 411 UFO Connections. They're amazing.
And is it it's like a show or a movie or movies?
One's a long documentary. The other two are like unsolved mysteries.
Damn, you give me a lot to
yeah.
You give me a lot of homework.
Well, David Pilates is he's a
I've never heard of. I mean, I probably have seen something, but the name is not familiar.
Yeah, The Hunted is about hunters that go missing in national parks. Missing 411 is just about people in general. And UFO connection.
And it's like a documentary thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, I love it. And it's creepy.
It's ominous.
Kind of creepy. Yeah.
Yeah. It gives he was in the woods his whole life, and it ain't like him to get lost, and they find his underwear. Or they find his gun in the creek.
That's usually how you're found, man. And that's why your mom was always like, make sure you have clean underwear.
It's I think it's Paulides. Paulides, right. David Paulides. Yeah, it'll consume you. But like I was thinking, like that particular Bigfoot suit, even though it's disintegrated, would make some like perfect reenactment material for some of this stuff.
Yeah. No, and I mean, that's the dream, is that I'll be able to someday make another Bigfoot movie, and maybe with a bunch of suits, bunch of guys in suits. I think it'd be fun.
Well, all right, man. Do you have other than HAXAN .com, HAXAN.com? You have any?
Yeah, I mean, the HAXAN Films on Facebook is the main place to keep up, and also I'm on Twitter or X, whatever, Sanchez on the mic. And just to plug real quick, I have a movie called Satanic Hispanics that just came out on video, and it's an anthology movie. You might dig it. It's not found footage, but it's got some cool films on there. It's called Satanic Hispanics. Yeah. And
I like that title.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was one of those things where I was like, as soon as I heard the title, I'm like, I got to be a part of this. But it's a really fun movie. It has a lot of different tastes, got some funny stuff and some creepy stuff, and violence and blood and gunplay, and it's got a lot of cool stuff in it. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and it just came out on video. So if people want to check it out, I'd appreciate it.
Is it on like streaming or just like DVD?
It's right now it's on you got to rent it or buy it on the services, and then I don't know where it's going to end up streaming eventually, obviously somewhere.
On VHS.
Yeah, I'm not sure where. Yeah, well, you know what? That would be cool. A little VHS.
Or those big plastic clamshells, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's crazy that VHS is coming back, man. People love VHS.
Is it like the end of Dusk Till Dawn?
Yeah. Yes.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Ed, for being on. That was a crazy conversation.
Thanks for having me, man. That was a lot of fun.
Deep dove down every note I had without any prompting. So yeah, I'll keep it. I'll say it was a success. And thanks everyone for watching. And
yeah,
here's the countdown.